What if you found out that you had way more support, and actually way more supply than you ever knew or even thought possible? Well, that message is contained in the Miracle of Hanukkah. Hi, I'm Mary Morrissey. I'm the author of 2 best-selling books, no less than Greatness and Building Your Field of Dreams, which became a PBS special. So the Miracle of Hanukkah is a story of real historic fact, the story of 2,200 years ago in Jerusalem when the Maccabees had been under siege, and here they are dedicating the Second Temple in Jerusalem. And they look at their supply that they have, and it's enough to light the candle and have 1 day of oil. And there's a temptation to say, we don't have enough to do the full dedication. And yet they go ahead and do the thing they can do with what they have, which is part of miracle making and part of making miracles welcome, is to have a vision of what you want, but also to do the thing you can do with what you have. And as it turns out, they poured everything they knew they had, and the next day there was more to pour, and more to pour, and more to pour, and 8 days of light came forth from a supply that visibly, measurably, was only enough for 1 day. Hence we call this the Miracle of Hanukkah. Now, the Miracle of Hanukkah is given to us through this wonderful Jewish tradition that has been on our planet for close to 3,000 years. And so much gift for all of us, regardless of our religious upbringing or our spiritual practices. The miracle is here for every single one of us. It starts with looking at what you have and then thinking it's not enough. That's very tempting for us to do. We want to have a dream for something, and we look at our bank account, or we look at the time we have, or we look at our education, and we go, I don't have enough to have the thing I really want to have. I don't have enough to do the thing I really want to do. I don't have enough to create what it is I really want to create. A miracle of transformation occurs when we don't let what we have dictate what we can be or have, but we let a vision begin to germinate in us, a vision of what we would really love. Over a decade ago, I was sitting with my oldest son in his family's home in Cabo San Lucas, and they were living in a small little house with 3 kids and kind of bumping up against the walls, and he was working full-time and had a good career, and I said to him, so what's next for you? And he goes, what do you mean, what's next? I said, what's your dream? And he goes, well, I can't have my dream. And I said, what do you mean you can't have your dream? And he says, well, we dream of a much bigger house, but there's no financing here. There's no mortgages in Mexico. And, it's like hundreds of thousands of dollars more than what this house is worth. And we don't, it's going to take us 15 or 20 years to earn enough money to have the house. And by then the kids are going to be grown. So, we're just going to stay here. I said, well, what if you could have that house? He says, you don't understand. And then he went to tell me on the land of facts. And on the land of facts, everything he said was true. Just as it was true that on the land of facts, there was only this much oil. But there's a practice and a principle for unlocking into the land of facts what's part of yours all along, and that is your connection to an infinite source, your connection to a power that is greater than what we can see and take in with our 5 senses. That power is actually breathing you right now. That power is giving into you and through you and me this thing called life. And so I asked John if he'd be willing to let me help him. And the story is longer than we can tell in this particular story, but I will tell you that if you will do the thing you can do, holding a vision of what you want, you can make welcome in your life a miracle as real as the miracle of Hanukkah. So John began to work with a vision. That night, I said, if you could have it, what would you do? Well, I'd start to get a blueprint. So we got out a cocktail napkin, and he drew, just very rough style, the house that he would love. And I suggested to him, what could you do? Well, we bought a piece of ground, but it's been sitting there for years, and now we're thinking we're going to sell it because we're not ever going to build on it. And I said, what if you could build on it? If you thought you could build on it, what would you do? And he said, I don't know. And I said, well, what if you took the cocktail napkin and went up every day and just visualized the house and did that for, say, a month? You could do that, couldn't you? Spend 5-10 minutes just imagining the house being grown there, built there, developed there, and stepping inside of it imaginally. He began to do that. He got his wife and his kids involved in that. And an interesting thing happens, because the power that's breathing us and operates not just through our conscious mind, it operates through our subconscious mind. And when the conscious and the subconscious come together, there is an access to that in us that is connected to the infinite mind. And different ideas occur, and different situations are made welcome. And over time, John then invested in some blueprints, which was difficult for him to do, because why am I investing in blueprints for a house that I'm not going to build? And I said, well, you'll never build a house if you don't have the blueprints. And so we began to do some things. And over time, one thing after another, until one day, after they've now sold the house that they were in, and were renting it back so that they had the money to at least build the foundation, again, doing the thing they could do with what they had. And while they were just about to shut down construction, a man drove up who was representing a new mortgage company that was doing some test mortgages in Mexico. And there, because they had built everything they could build, their house qualified to be one of the last mortgages that were ever given in Mexico. And they built that dream house. Now, if he hadn't done the thing he could do with what he had, he would not have been in this spot to make welcome the opportunity or the miracle that's promised in this story of Hanukkah. That there are things you and I have no idea how to bring about. You are not that smart, but there's a mind, there's a love, there's a power that we're all connected to that is. Our job is to get very clear about what we would love and then begin to live into it and do the thing we can do. They boldly and bravely took one day of oil and didn't hold on to it and didn't hold back. They poured that oil, making welcome the next and the next and the next and the next. And the miracle of Hanukkah is something to be celebrated every year and, frankly, every day for every single one of us, because we are connected to a power and a presence that is far greater than we know. I wish you a wonderful holiday, a wonderful Hanukkah. No matter what your tradition is, let this light shine brightly for each and every one of us. Happy Hanukkah.